Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale retro unboxing and review video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at a figure that unfortunately I passed on all those years ago, and it's of course Loki, based off his appearance in The Dark World. Now I personally never had a huge issue with this figure, but apparently those of you out there who collect Loki releases have said that this one is the worst of the bunch. Could it be because this is the only one that doesn't come with his badass comic book style helmet? Possibly, but we'll have to wait and see throughout the course of this video. Now if you are looking to pick this guy up, I'm pretty sure he is still available from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is in the description below, but do bear in mind this is a long since sold out release, so he will be a little bit more pricey. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here, of course, we have the box art for Loki. It's done in pretty much the exact same style as the only other figure in the line, being Thor. The box is actually the shape of Mjolnir. Hot Toys doesn't really do adventurous stuff like this anymore, but I'm glad they did for this line. We have a beautiful metallic gold box with a beveled edge and proper texture detail. We also have Loki on the front, on the side, and a gorgeous image of Tom Hiddleston as Loki sitting atop Odin's throne on the back here. Now I am personally really darn excited to get this guy out here to finally complete my Loki collection. Hopefully one day Hot Toys decides to go back and do the one they skipped, which is of course Loki from Thor 1. Say what you will about the costume design, it was a little bit over the top in the first Thor film, but Loki's outfit was absolutely stunning. Fast forward to the second Thor film and they toned it back ever so slightly with this guy. And here we have him, looking absolutely fantastic. First impressions are pretty darn positive. Now as you can see, he does come with a tray of stuff, so what we are going to do now is get all of Loki's accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. And here we have all the bits and pieces that come with Loki. Let's start off by taking a look at the display base first. As you can see, 2014, so it is rather dated, because we do have the classic Hot Toys oval style display base with Loki printed on the front. Unfortunately, the previous owner has quite heavy-handedly decided to repair this, so you can see a little bit of glue residue on the back, and also on the front and all around, so I'll have to see if I can clean that up. You do have a regular crotch grabber up on top there. He does also come with this, which is the binding instrument that is used to shackle Loki. The chains are made of real die-cast, and you do have 2 down here for the feet, 2 for the hands, and 1 for the neck. Will I be displaying my Loki wearing this? No, I don't think I will, but it's still a nice touch. The rings are sculpted with some Asgardian scripture in there. They are painted in a nice metallic paint there. They do quite nicely match the finish of the chains themselves, which, did I mention? Yeah, they are die-cast. You also do get 1 Loki dagger. It would have been nice to get 2, because as we know, he does like to dual wield his daggers, but unfortunately they only gave us 1. Lastly, you do get an array of hands, and they do have the armor pad sculpted on the back, plus a really nice level of paint applications on the skin tone there. But yeah, that's it. No Tesseract, no Loki scepter, no helmet, it's just the bare minimum. However, what we are going to do now is get the figure himself out here and take a closer look. And here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Now I know you're probably all thinking, is this guy burdened with glorious purpose? Or is he just not all that great, like people have been telling me? I really like him. I like the proportions on the body. He has been updated since the Avengers 1 version. The head is slightly bigger, the outfit hugs the body more. I like the sculpt, And I like the outfit itself. The changes that they've made, in my opinion, are for the better. It looks fantastic. Don't worry though, we will be doing the comparisons to the other versions of Loki a little bit later in the video. What we are going to do now though is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. I have to say, I don't know why people dislike this guy as much as they do. Granted, some of the other Lokis are more exciting, but this guy is a super simple, straightforward, but very classy figure. Now let's take a look at the head sculpt first. I love the way this looks. I can see Tom Hiddleston through and through. Granted, it is an older release, so it doesn't look as spot on as potentially some of the newer ones do, like for instance the remake, the 2.0 of the Avengers Loki. I think that one is the strongest Tom Hiddleston likeness to date, but this one is a close second for me. We will be doing some comparisons though later on in the video, but yeah, I love the way this sculpt looks. Also, it is slightly bigger. When we compare it to the Avengers one, you'll see what I'm talking about. That one has a slightly shrunken head to make the helmet work. Now, he does have a very similar outfit design to the Avengers 1 suit. The only things that are different is, number one, this jacket piece. This inner section is pretty much the exact same, and he doesn't have this belt piece that goes over the front there. I personally like this slightly slimmed down, more subdued version of Loki. It kind of reminds me of the suit that we see Sylvie wearing in the Loki show with this pattern around the front there. It is painted and sculpted really nicely. In the places where it is sculpted, you have patina and wash over all of the armor pieces, and that carries on throughout this entire jacket, all the way down to the gauntlets. Unfortunately, on mine, the trim piece around the arms are starting to come detached, but they are kind of hidden by the gauntlets anyway, so I'm thinking about just popping a dab of glue on there to keep it nice and secure. Now, yes, a lot of this outfit is made of a pleathery style material, but as of yet, I haven't seen anyone with any of the versions of Loki having any deterioration, so fingers crossed that this remains perfectly fine for the foreseeable future. There is also a lot of it that is material. We have the green sections made of actual fabric, and they have this print on the outside. This is accurate to the film and is like this in Avengers 1 as well. You also have these sections which kind of shift and change colors in the right light. Those are dotted around the entire outfit in various places, plus in some of the areas where you can see these subtle trim edging pieces. I really like this outfit. As I said, it's a slightly more simplified version of the Avengers 1 look, but it really resonates with me. Coming down to the pants, they are done in a similar style material to the Thor Ragnarok Loki. They do have a slightly waxy feel, but it's kind of a hybrid between material and pleather. I think what they've done is they've gotten a stretchy material and then printed this texture over the top. It makes for a very stretchy but also very realistic looking material, just like we saw in the film. He also has a couple of gold sections on the back of his thigh, plus these white strips as well. I have to say, this has a ton of stuff going on. We've got gold sections, we've got the color changing sections, we've got armor pieces, we've got the green. It just comes together to make a very interesting design to look at on the shelf. And of course, lastly, coming down to the boots, we have a split cut boot design, my personal favorite. And when you just have it sitting there, it kind of looks like one seamless piece. So yeah, they've definitely nailed it. You also have some tread on the underside of his boots. Now that we've taken a look at Loki, I can't honestly tell why people dislike this figure. I personally really like it. It might actually be up there as one of my favorite Loki figures in the collection. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the Dark World Loki standing alongside the Avengers 1 version. Now I know we have touched on a lot of the similarities, but now you can see them standing side by side. You can really see it, they are almost identical. The boots are the same, the pants are the same, the inside tunic is almost the same except for the gold edging on the Avengers version and that strap that goes over the top. But the rest of it is almost identical. Then when we get to the outer jacket, that's where the biggest differences lay. Because of course he has this big honkin' gold shoulder pad piece, which kind of gives him this overly no-necked appearance. I straight up prefer the Dark World version out of these two, but when the new 2.0 version of the Avengers one comes out, don't worry, we'll be doing this comparison all over again. And of course, here we have him standing alongside the Ragnarok version. The Ragnarok version of Loki is kind of a really stripped down, back to basics version of the character. And I like that. He has a very subdued kind of outfit design. When you do bring in the helmet though, it gets a little bit more classic Loki, but still, out of these two, I do have to give it to the Ragnarok design. It just feels a little bit more grown up. MCU going forward, I think, is going for these more subdued character designs, where back in the day, they were a little bit more adventurous. I am tempted to try and swap the Dark World head sculpt onto the Ragnarok body though, because I still think that head sculpt is the best. Now I know a lot of you will be curious as to how the head sculpts stack up side by side. Here we have the Dark World one on the left and the Avengers one on the right. You'll have to let me know out of the two which you prefer, but I absolutely will be going with the Dark World version. I like the slightly longer hair. I also like the expression a little bit more. The Avengers one has a subtle smirk, but because his cheeks are so sunken in to accommodate the helmet, of course, he looks a little bit gaunt. I'm not seeing the likeness as much, whereas with this one, I absolutely am. Now, bringing in the latest Loki head sculpt, being the one from Ragnarok, yes, you can see I do have a ton of staining on the neck on mine, but the sculpt itself, in terms of the face, is unscathed so far, even with the helmet sitting on his cheeks. Now, speaking of the helmet, I do think it improves the likeness on this one, but out of these two, I still have to go with the Dark World version. This one kind of never really looked like Tom to me. He has this really big protruding upper lip, his forehead is slightly too long, and he is also, once again, very, very gaunt, possibly to give him that pursed lips look, like he's plotting. Either way, I personally think this is the absolute best Loki head sculpt they've done to date. We will be seeing a TVA version from the Loki series, and also that new Avengers 1 2.0 version, but for now, to me, this one is the king. Just going over articulation on Loki. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt, it is in a ball joint at the top of the neck and also at the base, so you do get a fairly decent range of motion in pretty much all directions. The hair is sculpted down over the shoulders, but it's not all that limiting because it is slightly rubbery. The arms themselves will go up to about there. They will go forward to about there on soft ratchets, butterfly joint at the shoulder, and of course a double joint at the elbow there, incorporating a swivel as well. We do have a regular 1/6 scale style wrist peg. As for the torso, because there is a lot going on, multiple different layers over one another, you do have slightly less range of motion, but you do have crunch forward and back, swivel, and pivot side to side. The legs themselves will go forward to about there, going out to about there, swivel at the upper thigh, a double bend at the knee, and of course a ball joint down here with the split cut boot design. Just wrapping up on the Dark World version of Loki. Now going into this, I wasn't all that excited because my memories of this figure had been tainted by all of the people saying that this was the least best version of the figure. I personally really like it. I don't know what those people are talking about. It's an awesome hybrid between that more subdued look in Ragnarok and the over-the-top looks of Thor 1 and Avengers 1. This might just be my favorite Loki in the collection. I love the head sculpt. It's 100% Tom Hiddleston. I think everyone will agree. I love the expression. It's sinister, yet it's also a little bit devious, which is perfect for Loki. He doesn't come with a ton of accessories, which is, I think, everyone's biggest complaint with this figure. But the figure himself is fantastic, so I don't really hold it against him. If anyone is gonna ask me in the future which older version of Loki should they pick up, I'll absolutely be recommending Dark World Loki because I think he is fantastic. Now, if you are looking to pick him up, I'm pretty sure he is available from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is, of course, down in the description below. He is a little bit older though, so he may be potentially a little bit more pricey, so do bear that in mind. Also, while you are down there, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.